Hey guys, PokeDan here. With every Pokemon game, we're introduced to a bunch of new characters, and one kind of character that we always get is that of a rival. In some games we get more than one, but it's fair to say that each rival is there to challenge us along our journey in every new game. So today you join me in ranking every main game rival from worst to best. Do remember guys that this is all just in my own opinion. So be sure to let me know who your favourites are down below. As well as this, I won't be including the Sword and Shield rivals announced so far in this video because obviously the games aren't even out yet. Also, this video idea was suggested to me by PokemaskX on my Google Forms survey. In case you guys missed it, I posted a link to a form where you can leave me your video ideas in my community tab. I'm doing this because it's good to hear what you guys want to see me make, and it's easy to do it this way because all the ideas are in one place. The link to this form can also be found in the description. That's if you want to drop a video idea, that is, but with all that being said, let's get started with the video. Coming in at the last place spot this time round is Trace. Trace is one of the most recent rivals who was introduced in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. In my personal experience, playing these games just wasn't that fun for me, and Trace didn't really add to the fun parts these games did introduce. To me, he's somewhat of a forgettable character and he's just not my cup of tea. Maybe it's the fact that I don't really care for the Let's Go games and that's why I don't like Trace that much. But either way, that's how I feel about this rival. Up next is Universe Hue. I think that Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 were marvellous games and were great follow-ups to their predecessors. However, when it came to giving us a good rival, it lacked a bit in my opinion. What a good rival is a character that makes the role their own. But for me, Hue felt like a mix of a load of personalities that we already knew. The main one being Barry. You might think that's a bit of an odd reason, which is fair enough, but I also don't like how he brought up that damn Purloin at every chance he had. He did have some redeeming qualities, like, well, let's just have a look. Oh, okay, he used a Flygon, that's pretty cool. But yeah, Hue just wasn't that great in my opinion. Coming in at the number 11 spot for this list, we have Shauna, Tierno, and Trevor. Recently, I've been seeing some hate for Pokemon X and Y, and I gotta say, even though they had no follow-up games, they were genuinely some of my favourite games from the franchise. However, that being said, even I have to admit that the rivals just weren't that great. I think the idea of having a bunch of rivals is cool, however Game Freak made them too friendly and rather forgettable. The gang did appear to make a bit more of an impact in the anime, but for me at least, that was pretty much it. Shauna has to be my favourite of the bunch because she is adorable, but apart from that, this gang wasn't that cool. Up next, and breaking the top 10 by the way, it should be no surprise, we have Calum and Serena. The reason I placed these rivals above the others of Gen 6 is because they actually felt like they had a mission throughout your journey, and that was to become a champion like you. Unlike the others, these characters felt driven, but once again they were a bit too nice. Now by the sounds of it, I want a rival who's going to beat the living daylights out of me. A real nasty piece of work. And yeah, I actually do. I want a character who will motivate me to get stronger than them and beat them to a pulp. Unfortunately, as motivated and driven as they were, these characters didn't fit that criteria. Up next is another great character who's just a bit too nice, and it is Bianca. Bianca made her appearance in Pokemon Black and White, and straight off the bat, you could tell she was a kind soul. She did follow you throughout your journey and give you some difficult battles like a good rival should, so I'll give her that much. As well as that, I preferred how she was in the games much more than how she was in the anime. In the anime, I hated her. Universe anime fans, I'm sorry, but not really that sorry for saying that. She was just awful to me, but like I said, in the games, I didn't mind her. She was a solid 6 out of 10 stars rival, but that's not full marks, so that's why she isn't any higher on the list. Coming in at number 8 is Brendan and May. In Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald, as well as the Gen 3 remakes, either one of this duo will be your rival throughout the game. And don't get me wrong, they put up some amazing fights, but their personalities were somewhat bland. I mean, sure, they're nice characters, but for me, there's nothing about them that stands out massively. I still enjoyed challenging them on my journey, but I think Hoenn had a better rival to offer. Making his mark on the number 7 spot, we have Hao. Introduced in the Gen 7 games, Hao is yet another friendly rival who wants to better himself alongside you on your journey. He's also the grandson of Hala, so arguably he has that legacy to live up to. In my opinion, the Gen 7 games don't have much replayability. However, that's because they were so story driven, and I loved that, and Hao was a part of it, so of course I like him as well. Admittedly, he was somewhat easy to defeat in a lot of battles, but he's just a personality that I find hard to dislike. Not too long ago, I mentioned how Hoenn had a better rival to offer, and that comes in the form of Wally. In the games, Wally is a trainer who is desperate to get out there and have an adventure alongside a Pokemon. However, he's held back by his unnamed illness. But this illness doesn't always stop him from battling you along your journey. Although you don't battle him as many times as you do Brendan or May, Wally still puts up a good fight, and it's just refreshing to have a rival who you're not stuck with from the get-go. Unlike most other rivals, he doesn't have one of the starters that you didn't choose, and like I said, that's a nice change. And I liked Wally more as a rival than the main ones in Hoenn. Just making it in the top 5, we have Barry. This rival is from the Sinnoh games, and he is a very hyperactive character. Barry's described to be impatient, and that's pretty clear from some of the things he says in the games, notably about finding your character if you're late. I wouldn't say Barry is a mean rival, but at the same time he's nowhere as nice as some others. In the games, Barry does put up a lot of difficult fights, and for me, I remember really struggling to beat him just before the Pokemon League when I was younger. But again, I like that in a rival. He's someone who I find to be pretty likable, but also makes me want to get stronger. Coming in at number 4, we have Sharon. The other day, I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw a joke targeting the Unova games, and although some parts weren't the best, no game is 100% perfect. And I think that people forget the good points about Gen 5. For me, this rival is one of them. Sharon is described as somewhat of an impatient character who has a great knowledge of Pokemon. He's also really intelligent, and he puts up tons of amazing battles in the games. In the sequels, he takes over as a gym leader, and this really shows how much he's developed as a character. For putting up so many difficult battles and growing as a character, he's a rival who I really like. I feel like this one's gonna be controversial because he's not at the top of the list, but up next is Blue. Blue is the OG rival in the games, and a lot of people love him for how he is. In the games, Blue is a cocky rival who takes satisfaction from always being ahead of the player. Eventually, he becomes champion, but is taken down by the player when they defeat him. Now, I really do like Blue. He's a character who made me strive to defeat him when I played through Kanto, however the Kanto games were just never my favourite, so that kind of impacted how I felt towards him. That being said, I know that I'll get hate for not putting him at the top, but I really do think Blue's a cool character with some great qualities for a rival. However, there are just 2 others that I prefer. Even still, 3rd place is pretty good. In at 2nd place, we have the Gen 2 rival Silver. Now, if you consider Blue to be a jerk, step aside for this guy. In my opinion, Silver is a much bigger jerk than Blue, and in the games, he really makes you want to beat him in battle. Don't get me wrong, he is a very strong trainer. However, as I've said, having a rival like this is good because they constantly make you want to improve. Silver also has an interesting connection to Team Rocket, which is of course him being Giovanni's son. And his story is really interesting, and it's one from the franchise that I'm a big fan of. And finally, coming in at the number 1 spot, we have Gladion. As I mentioned with Hao, because of the Gen 7 games having such a good story, it made a lot of other characters a lot more likable, and Gladion is one of them. This rival abandoned his mother and the Aether Foundation after discovering Luzamine's addiction to Ultra Beast, which he didn't agree with. Leaving, he stole one of the weapons against the Ultra Beast known as Type Null, and his goals in the game are to free Type Null of its helmet and to stop Luzamine. Of course, he does offer some great battles, and with his overall edgy aesthetic, I'm a big fan of this rival. Anyway guys, with that being said, that pretty much wraps things up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Also, be sure to let me know who your favourite rivals are down in the comments section. But with all that being said, for now, I've been PokeDan, you've been amazing, and I'll see you guys next time.